Today we're going to be talking about setting up the 2000 series panel, and this particular configuration is the Model 5, which is our most basic hard panel for the 2000 series, which we spent a couple of years developing. We've got a couple of really nice features that you'll see. First of all, nice carrying cases with a strap. When you set them up, set the case up over towards the wall. Don't throw them down the floor because people will walk on it and so forth. And the front drops down. Get the strap out of the way. And the next thing we need to do is to open up the door. So you can take a couple or one of, depending on how many of the door stops you need, and open the door up and wedge it into position. Now we want to make sure that's tight because we don't want the door closing on top of the panels while we're testing. The first panel that we install is always the blower panel, and if you take a look at the blower panel, you'll notice that there's the main large panel, then there's the smaller sliding panel that slides back and forth from behind. And this smaller panel can be on this side or the other side, depending on where the door is. So the panel is basically the same both ways, except just turn around. Now, how we install this is to always put the small panel on the door side. And the reason for that is, if we were to do it the other way around, you'll find that the door actually obstructs the blower from getting inside this hole. So we always have to put the small panel on this side. Now, we can take the panel and slide it back and forth like that, or we can use the ratcheting action of these expanding systems here to expand the panel out. We keep pulling on that and it keeps just expanding out, expanding out, expanding out. So we'll contract that back in there. We'll set it in the doorway. And there's two places that you can set it. You can set it on the front of the door stop or the back of the door stop. Now, I like to, if possible, set it on the back of the door stop, so when the blower is installed in the panel, the weight of the blower is pulling forward and actually pulling it into the door stop, helping it to hold in the doorway. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to set this side of the panel on this side of the door stop, and then just expand the panel out to the other side of the door stop, pull it in so it's nice and snug, and then we grab this strap here, this expanding strap, and we give it a good pull. We have to pull it along on this line. We don't want to pull it this way or it'll pull the panel apart. We want to pull it in this direction. And all of the force that we're pulling that with is contained or held by this little cleat. We just bring the strap underneath that, and perhaps you can get a close-up view of that. I've got the strap around my finger here, and I'm going to pull back along the line of the doorway or of the door panel. So I've got lots of tension in it. I'm pulling with about 10-15 pounds. I slide it underneath the cleat. It's all black, so it may be kind of hard to see. And I lift the strap up and I let it go. So all of the strain is being taken by the cleat. And then, in order to get this out of the way, we just put it on the Velcro to keep it out of the way. We've got the upper expander in position and with a fair amount of force in the doorway, and it's already fairly solid. So at this point we grab the lower expander and pull out, expand it in position, put the Velcro up against the strip. We've got the panel nicely in the doorway with it up against the stop on both sides, and if it's not up against the stop, you might have to loosen them off and pull it back in and tighten them up a few times. There's no problem with that. Once we've got that lower panel, we call this the lower blower panel, in place, we then want to install the tube. There's a 14-foot red tube attached to the console, the control panel, the gauge panel, etc. They're all the same. On some of the older panel systems where they didn't have these holes to put the tube through, we simply laid it over the top of the doorway and threw it down the hall as the other pickup point. But with this particular system here, we can just pull this plug out, put it in a place where you're not going to lose it, and feed the red tube through this hole until we've got a couple of feet of slack, and then throw it down the hall to get it out of the airstream. Now if you have to go out through the hole, you can just walk over the panel or you can walk through the hole.